Hello and welcome to the Remington Park Update and a new year of RaceView Network's coverage of the biggest races and fastest horses in quarter horse racing. I'm Jim Byers. Coming up, we'll preview the first multi-stakes card of the Remington Park meeting, which is highlighted by the Grade 2 Oklahoma Futurity, Grade 3 Oklahoma Derby, a pair of open Grade 1s, the Decada for fillies and mares, and the Eastex for 3-year-olds and up, and a Grade 1 race for Paints and Appaloosas, the Oklahoma Paint and Appaloosa Futurity. We'll take a look at some of the top contenders for those, but first, let's begin with a recap of the first stakes races of the meet so far. Oklahoma breds kicked off the stakes schedule with the opening night $68,000 Mighty Deck 3, that's a restricted Grade 2. Contested at the compact 250-yard distance. 2018 All-American Futurity winner Apocalyptical Jess was number 4. But the top two on overall form coming into this were number 6 JC Wild King and number 3 Charlie's Fury, both graded winners last year.
150 yards to go. JC Wild King has the edge to the inside. My Midnight Candy. JC Wild King gets it by a bobbing head over My Midnight Candy. Charlie's Fury was third.
JC Wild King gets an ideal start for a short dash and scoots away to win his 2022 debut and his 6th victory in his last 7 starts overall. James Flores aboard. Now trained by Santos Carrizales Jr., JC Wild King is last year's Grade 3 Adequan Derby Challenge Championship winner. He's a gelding by Apolitical Jess from O Cherokee Rose, bred and owned by Jose Cervantes. 3-year-olds and up went the long straightaway on a muddy surface in the $50,000 SLM Big Daddy. It's a Grade 3 at 550 yards. The previous 2 SLM Big Daddy winners are back. 5 Midday News and 11 Shockingly Famous, but the most pre-race attention belongs to the 1 Just My Hawks.
They're over halfway home. It's Just My Hawks on top. Chased now to the outside by Midday News and Shockingly Famous, making a big move late. Here comes O'Donovan Rosa. Just My Hawks trying to fend off Midday News. Just My Hawks, Midday News, O'Donovan Rosa. O'Donovan Rosa gets up in the SLM Big Daddy.
It's 4 across the track at the end, but big long shot O'Donovan Rosa is up in time under Jesus Salazar. An Oklahoma-bred gelding by Apolitical Jess from the mare Shinachie. O'Donovan Rosa spent most of 2021 trying to make major derbies in California and New Mexico. Back in the D. Keener barn, he becomes a graded winner for breeder J. Garvin Kelly, who owns him along with Lloyd Yoder. Weather, which we're having outside right now as we do this, by the way, factored into trials night for both the Oklahoma Futurity and Derby, as storms each night partway through affected both the wind and track conditions and benefited those running in the later races. In the case of the Grade 3 Oklahoma Derby, 4 of the 10 finalists came from one particular trial, a dash won by Famous Coronas. Famous Coronas drew post position 8 for the trial with Justine Kleber in the irons. He breaks quickly and immediately grabs the lead over eventual qualifiers Freight Train King, 1 from the inside, and Valerity in the black silks, and last year's Oklahoma Futurity winner Revenant Moon, who rallies for second after a poor start. Famous Coronas goes 350 in 17.384 seconds, the fastest of the 7 trials. A 1 Famous Eagle gelding, owned by Zinda Racing and trained by Eddie Willis, Famous Coronas hit the board in 6 of 7 races last year. Well, Justine Kleber was aboard for his only other prior win. It came last May in Maiden Company at Remington Park. She discusses Famous Coronas getting back to the winner's circle in that trial.
You know, I think at the end of last year he needed a little time off, and he got turned out this winter, and we brought him back, and he came back strong. He put it all together. He was all business. The wind definitely played a big factor all night, but, you know, I think he's such a talented horse that it wasn't going to matter too much, you know, as long as we didn't hit the wind too bad, we were going to be okay. He'd been off for a while, so I think he needed the out, and I think he's going to come back stronger.
The Grade 3 Oklahoma Derby, one of multiple stakes coming up on Saturday, has a purse this year of $262,700. More of the Remington Park Update coming up right after this.
Oklahoma Quarter Horse Racing Association encourages the breeding and ownership of Oklahoma-bred horses, promotes and protects racing opportunities in the state, and represents our members' interest at the state capitol. Learn more at oqhra.com.
Remington Park's lucrative Paint and Appaloosa futurity schedule gets underway on Saturday with the Grade 1 Oklahoma Paint and Appaloosa futurity. It's 300 yards, purse of $226,000, $33. 6 of the 10 qualifiers have a familiar sire, CRM Live Wire. One of them is top qualifier and probable favorite, Signs of Live Wire. He faced a stiff challenge from the OSC Golden Boy in this trial, but stubbornly holds on by a neck under Jesus Salazar. Owned by Jeff Adams and trained by Dee Keener, Signs of Live Wire is from a female family that produced graded quarter horse stakes winners, the Polar Vortex and the Fiscal Cliff. Signs of Live Wire had post position 6 out of 7 in that trial, but drew the rail for Saturday's final. Salazar seems to have no concerns about that.
No, I don't think it matters where he draws. That kind of colt, put him wherever you want him, and I think he'll fire. The trial race, he left there good and just did his job and went on with it. You know, he's easy to ride. He loves his job is the thing about him. We've already took him to the track after the trial. He come back really good, eating really well. I think he's ready to go again.
Signs of Live Wire is one of a select number of horses in the Oklahoma Paint and Appaloosa futurity who won their training race, then came back to win their trial. So they've never finished behind another horse in their brief careers. Unless there's a win-dead heat, that is likely to change for some of them coming up on the 19th. The Grade 1, actually, a similar situation exists in the Grade 2 Oklahoma futurity, where there are some lightly raced horses that won their trial and then came right back to qualify by a victory in the trial after a win in the training race. And the Oklahoma futurity is a bit unique. It's been run for well over 30 years in Oklahoma City. It's the longest running futurity in the sport's history. It's the 81st running. The distance is 300 yards, and it has a purse of $440,800. And if you like romping trial winners, Fancy Scarface might be right up your alley. He's among the top qualifiers here. Post position 6 for this trial, saddlecloth number 7. Took a couple of strides to get going, but then this Rito Sosa homebred just powers away from his rivals to win by 2 lengths under Juan Pulido, who returns for the final. This is a gelding sired by PYC Fun and Fancy, trained by Santos Carrizales Jr. His trial time was second best. He's the morning line favorite at 5-2. The third fastest of the trials is a trainee of Dee Keener, whom we've already seen talking about his promising young paint colt, and that is Trace Crystals. Trace Crystals is a $30,000 yearling purchase last summer, and he's a gelding who was another that just scampered away from the competition in the trial this time under regular rider Brian Candenosa, and he does it from the inside. Trace Crystals leads every stride. He'll eventually draw off by 1.25 lengths for owner Elizabeth Logan, who won this very race back in 2019 with EC Revenge. Another qualifier, Return My Corona, will run second here. Trace Coronas is the fourth choice at 6-1. And Dee Keener talks about this colt's development.
Well, we started this horse pretty early, breaking him and there at the farm, and he was pretty natural. I mean, he wants to do good for you. You know, that's makes it pretty easy.
One thing I really liked about the trial was just the way he finished, because it looked to me like the horse that ran second to him was running a decent race, and you were just drawing away from him and everybody else.
Yeah, I think this horse is going to like a lot of distance. I mean, he's in some stuff at Ruidoso, and he's in the Heritage, so I think he'll like the distance.
Make the final, and he did it the hard way. This is earlier on trials night when the a really nice start under Tanner Thedford. This New Mexico bred by Big Daddy Cartel has to work hard to fend off Delight Interest on the outside. Next to him in the gate will be stablemate Jessa Beast, trained by Trey Wood, for Newman Cattle Company. Jessa Beast is the only colt, in fact, in the Oklahoma futurity. He'll vie for favoritism after setting the fastest time from the inside under Raul Ramirez Jr. The son of Mr. Jess Perry shows good speed and determination here in maintaining a one-length cushion to the wire over 3 other qualifiers. And we had a chance after the trials to speak with trainer Trey Wood. He acknowledges that while there was a tailwind for those later races, he thinks that his colt is talented enough to put forth a good effort regardless of the conditions.
He caught the tailwind, obviously, but like I said, he's just a professional. He doesn't make any mistakes. He gets in the gates and never moves, and then they said go. The race was pretty much over. Yeah, I'm excited to see him run again because I know how green the horse really is. He don't look like it, but he is, and I think the later in the year we get, the better he's going to be also. So I'm excited about him.
Jessa Beast and Trace Crystals each had attractive trial wins from the rail, but they've drawn posts 9 and 7 respectively for the Oklahoma Futurity. Coming up on Saturday, 2-year-olds going 300 yards, and it is the 81st running of this race. Well, the first multi-stakes card of the Remington Park meet is not all about futurities and derbies. There's a pair of open grade 2s as well, the Dakota, fillies and mares at 350 yards, and the similarly distanced Eastex for 3-year-olds and up. In the Dakota, the one to beat appears to be a Dash of Sign. Making her 2022 debut, she was last seen just before Christmas, winning the Grade 2 Southern California Derby out at Los Alamitos at the expense of both female and male rivals. She's trained by Mike Robbins. And in the Eastex, a couple of hard-knocking 3-year-olds from last year, Apolitical Red Flash, who was second in the Oklahoma Derby, is heading to this race, or is in this race coming up this weekend, along with the Heritage Place Derby winner from 2021, Relentlessly, in the Eastex coming up this Saturday to wrap up the card in the latter stages of it at Remington Park. So once again, coming up, we've got the Speed Horse Graham Paint and Appaloosa Stakes. That's coming up on the Saturday card as well. That'll match 3-year-olds at Remington. Some really promising 3-year-olds who were among the futurity set last year will be heading to the Speed Horse Graham Stakes for paints and apps. And of course, the Grade 1 Oklahoma Paint and Appaloosa Futurity will be contested at 300 yards. We've already talked a bit about that. And Signs of Livewire heading postward in that one as the likely favorite. The lineup continues with that marquee event, the Grade 2 Oklahoma Futurity, the 81st running of that event. Coming up on our next edition of the Remington Park Update, we'll recap those races, and we will also have a bunch more for you, and we encourage you to follow our programming on our YouTube channel, Facebook, and our RaceView Network Twitter feed. That's all for now. From all of us here at RaceView Network, I'm Jim Byers. Thanks for looking in, and have a good week.